Okay, welcome to Year 11 Business Studies, and this is the first of a number of videos that will go through all topics, but starting here with topic 1, nature of business, and starting off with considering the role of business and looking at the production of goods and services specifically. Subsequent videos will go into other key elements of this particular chunk, but we'll start here with what's the role of business within the economy. We've looked at these things in class, and we're going to get to a definition firstly of business. If you had to define business, there are many ways you could do it, but this would be a good start. That a business is an organised effort of a group or individual to produce and sell a product for a profit that satisfies customers' needs or wants. Many of these elements are things we've discussed in class in the last 2 days, particularly that satisfaction of needs and wants, but also it's always very important to consider businesses that are both production-based and are service-based. So production-based, obviously that business is producing something, and service-based are businesses that are selling a service as to something that is physical and tangible, which we'll touch on in a moment. Businesses do play a really important role in our society. They have a significant influence on our standard of living because the services and the production and the products that they offer directly lead to a standard of living for individuals, and not only because of what people can purchase in terms of products and services, but also because those businesses are employers of people. They're the payer of wages to those people who work in those organisations, and those people can then use those wages to make acquisitions, to pay for education, hospitals, food, water, shelter, etc. So not only are they playing an important role in terms of providing us, i.e. consumers, with the opportunity to make purchases, they're also providing people employment opportunities and hence paying them a salary or a wage. We've talked a lot about small medium enterprises already, and the fact that they're considered to be businesses that employ between 2 and 20 people, and also that they do have a relatively high failure rate, at least in Australia. And it's important to understand that they do make up a large number of businesses in Australia. And the important thing is there is the large number. About 98% of businesses in Australia fall under that small medium enterprise category. Don't be confused with the fact that they make up 98% of our economy or 98% of GDP, for example. That's not the case, because you've got businesses like Commonwealth Bank, like BHP Billiton, like Wesfarmers, who are employing thousands and thousands of people and generating billions of dollars in revenue. So SMEs make up 98% of businesses, but they certainly don't contribute 98% of GDP. One common feature shared by the largest and smallest businesses is what I mentioned before, the fact that they produce a product, i.e. a good or service, which is sold in a market where buyers and sellers meet. Okay, so the first point is this production of goods and services, and the important element of the nature of business is understanding that all businesses produce a good or provide a service, or they may well do both. Some important characteristics to allow us to differentiate between businesses that are producers of goods and businesses that are providers of services. If we just focus on the goods side of things firstly, when a business produces a good, they are tangible items, i.e. they can be touched, whereas a service is an intangible item. It really can't be touched, felt, because it's generally a verbal service or some other service that is intangible in nature. A good can be standardised. It may well also be able to be customised. So standardised, i.e. sell 1,000 black Nike shoes, for example, or customised. There's a photo of a Holden Commodore down the bottom there. That Holden Commodore could be customised to a specific customer's desires or their needs and wants. However, a service is generally customised. You want a tax return. The accountant will customise your tax return to your specific needs, i.e. your level of income and your level of expenses. It can be standardised, but it would be more common that an item would be customised. There's an accounting group whose name's escaping me right now, but they standardise tax returns and offer very fast tax returns on the spot. Goods can be owned and transferred. So I purchase a car, like the picture down the bottom there, and then I might transfer that vehicle to someone else, either through a sale or through a gift. A service cannot be owned. You go to the tax you go to the accountant, get the tax return. You don't effectively own that tax return, you're just engaging in that service. A good, it relates to production to consumption varying, or there is a variance of the production to the consumption. But with a service, those two things are happening simultaneously. Again, just to continue the same example, the tax return that's been done by your accountant, they're producing that service and it's also being consumed as it's happening. With a good, the value is ascertained or determined by adding all costs and factoring in a margin. So for example, a pair of Nike shoes might cost Nike $10 to make and they'll sell them for $100. So they're adding a margin at the difference between the cost of making it, the $10, and the selling it of $100. So there's a margin there of $90. For a service, that value is very subjective. It's really dependent upon what the person who's receiving the service perceives that service to be valued at. And they may well go elsewhere to purchase a service for a lower cost if they think that they've been overcharged because due to the subjectivity of that service. Just really briefly to touch on the importance of services to Australia, I mentioned in class that the service sector is is becoming the primary driver of our economy, and it's a very significant part of our economy, and it represents about 70% of GDP in terms of all businesses in Australia that are service providers or offering of services. They're accounting for about 70% of our GDP, and now about 4 out of 5 Australians are employed in service-based organisations. We're a world-class provider of a range of services, things like professional services, so that's accounting, legal services. Education and tourism are two of our larger service areas. Financial services, so funds management, superannuation. Energy and mining related services, so not actually the digging of the coal out of the ground and putting it on a ship and sending it to China, but services that relate to that business. So that could be negotiating a contract to sell a shipment of coal, for example. And then environmental services and financial technology are a growing part of our economy, particularly environmental services as the environment becomes more a much bigger issue. These are the most up-to-date statistics I could find on the composition of trade in our services. And like I said in class the other day, I think that education is becoming our biggest export and our biggest service-based export, at least, nearly $20 billion. And that's a couple of years out of date now. So it would probably be even more than that. And you can see other areas there: travel, professional, business travel, and then financial services. Okay, we'll leave it there for the start of this topic, and the next video will focus on profit in terms of its importance to the nature of business.